Morning, mate.
How's it going?
Hello, my name's John Palfrey. Welcome to our series of Energy Smart Water and Thermal Energy Solution webinars. Today's webinar is based on our THOR Solar PV Power Manager unit. It's a device that thinks relative to excess PV being available. And once upon a time, everyone's excess PV went back into the grid, probably still does to a large extent. However, people are becoming more aware, as are the energy companies, that if the excess energy can be used in a more advantageous way, then that's certainly what we're looking at doing in regards to creating the Enermax Smart Cube tank to become a solar battery, a thermal battery. We're able to extract and hold that energy and in turn utilize it for, as I said, domestic or hydronic or even pool heating purposes. The THOR device available in two models, in the I series or the 9S series, and today we're lucky enough to have an installer, in fact a bit of a PV expert, a gentleman by the name of Peter Bender from PS Electrical. G'day Pete, how are you today?
Yeah, good John. Javier, how are you?
Peter, I just wanted to, talk through the particular application that you've put the THOR into recently. I believe it's a residential dwelling in Melbourne, Australia. What was the reason for looking at that particular device, Pete?
There was a fair bit of solar on the roof already, about 7.5 kilowatts worth of solar on the roof, and I was trying to find a way that we could adapt a hot water system into it and use as much of the solar capabilities as possible. There is a way to do it via a straight connection, but it's not very intelligent doing it via timers because it's not working on the excess solar, whereas the THOR allows and monitors the solar production, and therefore any excess solar can be redirected directly into your hot water system as opposed to being exported to the grid, for example. So it's a lot smarter use of the solar energy, putting it into the hot water system. So that's how I started researching it. I found it, saw the controller had all the functionality that I needed, and so started talking to Javier and the team at Energy Smart Water and Thermal Energy Solutions, and was able to source a system, a water tank and a controller, and then connected it into the system over at Essendon, and producing hot water within about 3 hours of installation. So it was great.
So just tell us about the application a bit more, Pete, so people can get their head around a typical metropolitan dwelling, mate.
Yes, yeah, a 3-bedroom home has usually 4 occupants, 2 adults and a couple of teenage kids, and they had a gas hot water system.
Yep.
It had been in there for about 20 years, and they were saying, they were quite upfront about it, saying we think eventually it's going to die on us, and it's in a bit of an awkward place. So can you come up with a solution? So with a plumber friend, we ended up finding the right tank. Because it works off a heat exchanger, it's always fresh water that's being delivered, and they were happy with the solution because they had a lot of solar panels on the roof, and for them just getting the small export fee was great, but this is a lot better use of their solar power. So yeah, standard traditional home, standard traditional gas hot water system on demand, and then with the Enermax tank and the THOR, it's covered all their water needs and extra. So,
since the install, Pete, have you been able to get any data or see what the THOR is actually doing, mate, relative to solar yield and as you say, into the thermal battery, the Enermax tank as such? Have you been able to download some information and have a look at it in that regard?
It's all cloud-based and on the web. So we can look at it from anywhere we are. I can see it from my car at any time when I'm driving from one location to the other. And it's actually quite a good sales tool. I've been able to show other people that are thinking about it oh, this is an installation that was done in Essendon, have a look at this, and we could see what the temperature of the water was, how much solar power is being diverted into the tank at any particular time. So because it's all cloud-based, it makes it quite easy to get the information and be able to show the client and any prospective client of the control system.
Okay, so going forward then, Pete, I know your background is commercial electrical work. Where do you see this sort of device, mate, entering into that space, I guess, of commercial, industrial? A lot of roofs these days are covered with PV. Are there other opportunities, mate, just outside of the standard domestic sort of application we've been talking about?
Absolutely. Any small or large commercial that has any solar panels on the roof, it can obviously have an AC THOR connected into it. There would have to be some changes in regards to how it determines what's excess solar, and if there's any export, then it will just be rediverted onto the AC THOR and into the hot water tank to heat the hot water tank. It's also grid backed up, so if there is any lack of solar, it can always be backed up by the grid, and that's how it determines how it gets its maximum temperature and gets to its temperature. It uses predominantly solar, but is always grid backed up as well, just in case there's quite a number of cloudy days or non-solar days. So any commercial application would have the capacity to be able to do it. Yeah.
Fantastic. That sounds really good. All right, Pete, again, thanks very much for your time today. We'll be talking to people similar to Peter Bender who've had experience with our products and componentry in the field. We think it's very important that we understand from that aspect of an installer and a person who's dedicated their work towards what's happening in the solar PV field today, in being able to tell us, a live story as such relative to a recent installation. Thanks very much, Peter. Appreciate your help and time.
Anytime. Thanks very much.